Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Get Real with Real Estate for this Memorial Day weekend here on KWNG 106. This is Jack Colwell. Joining me from Get Real with Real Estate, RE/MAX Realty, is Jameson Melbye. Jameson, we've pulled out all the stops for this show today. We've got a special guest, so take it away and tell us more.
Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, Jack. So again, Jameson Melbye here, RE/MAX Results. And today, I figured I'd bring my friend Sean Waite. He's with Prime Lending. Really good loan officer based out of Red Wing, so we're glad to have Sean on the show.
Thanks for having me, Jameson. Happy to be here, man.
Yeah, cool. We have one viewer on Facebook right now. How's it going, Jerry? Hi.
Hi, Jerry.
See, I'm off camera, so I can play the radio host very well. I have a face for radio, so that's good.
Yeah, exactly. So, today we're switching up the format. I'll ask Sean some questions here. So, the first question is, can you explain the main differences between loan programs?
One of the things that a lot of people come up to me, I've been doing this since 2003, so programs change, different things happen. Obviously, everything I'm saying today is based on what today's guidelines and today's things are. So, and your situation could be unique and different and all that good fun stuff. But basically, you're looking at, especially in the Red Wing area, we're really blessed because they have the USDA program, which is the zero down program.
Yeah, we love that.
And when we say down, that means down payment. Down payment is how much you have to put down, to buy a house. Red Wing, Lake City, Cannon Falls area are part of a certain region which allows that program. It's not available everywhere. But basically, I would say in Red Wing, there's four main types of mortgages. You have your conventional, you have your FHA, your USDA, and then your VA. VA standing for veterans. So if you have veterans eligibility, that can also be a zero down program for you as well. Conventional is going to run anywhere between 3 and 5% down, and FHA, which a lot of people think of as the first-time homebuyers loan, it's not just for first-time homebuyers. It's just an easier loan to qualify for. That's going to be with 3.5% down. And all four of the programs are going to have different pluses and minuses, so it kind of depends on your unique situation. A lot of people focus on the down payment part.
Sure.
Like I said, rural development and FHA are a little bit tougher on the houses you can get a loan on. So sometimes a conventional loan is going to be a better fit because they're not as, you might not think not having a handrail on the stairs is a big thing, but FHA and USDA, they're like, no, it's got to be, how it is. So the main difference is going to be with your down payments and your qualifying, your debt to income, and your credit score for all those different ones. So.
Yeah, definitely. And let me just reiterate what I would say is, you always want to meet with your loan officer and have them run the different scenarios and see if I put zero down USDA or 3.5% down FHA, you'll be surprised on the money you can save.
Oh, huge.
And USDA is a huge, great program.
Yeah, FHA used to be kind of the go-to for first-time home buyers. Things have kind of settled down again in the industry. I mean, things had to get more conservative because of everything that happened. There was, you can fog a mirror, here's a mortgage,
right.
And that just was not a good thing. And so now FHA is kind of my backup program for a lot of people if I can get them into a conventional or a USDA first. And the other thing is, just because it says zero down payment doesn't mean that you don't have to bring any money into closing. A lot of people are like, I can get in there with zero money. I always tell people, even with the zero down programs, you want to have around $1,200 to $1,500 available because you'll have earnest money, you'll have appraisal, you'll have inspection, so all those things. I've gotten people in to a home where they've gotten a check back at closing, but I always tell people, you need to have that money available because we can't pull the trigger until you do. So a lot of people who are like, I'll have that in 2 paychecks. I'm going to put my offer in on the house right now.
Bad idea.
Horrible idea.
Bad idea, definitely. Cool, so the next question we have is, and you've kind of touched on this, what options are there for people without a down payment? So we know the USDA. If you're listening in Hastings or Cottage Grove, this USDA does not apply.
Exactly.
We have plenty of houses in Red Wing for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a short trip. So
yeah, exactly.
I think it kind of cuts off right around Empire is where it goes. You can actually log on the website and type in an address, and it will tell you. Or else, obviously, Jameson, with his knowledge and his background of growing up around here and being able to help everybody, he's going to know what ones can and what ones can't as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff. Oh, Guys, I have a question here for both of you, really. You know, you're shopping around, you're thinking about, you know, buying that home, but when would I need, or when would people need to get pre-approved for a home?
Right away. I mean, that's,
Yeah, I mean, before you start looking at houses,
yeah.
really is the time to get pre-approved.
Because I always tell people, you know, you say, well, I'm just gonna look online. Well, all of a sudden you're gonna find, I don't need to get pre-approved yet, I'm just gonna look and kind of see what's out there. You know, you're gonna find that house that's perfect for you, that, you know, oh my God, there's no other house for me. And then I get the call on Sunday night at 9 p.m. because you've got 10 other offers going in, especially right now with the way the market is. And I don't mind taking those calls, but there is a time, you know, where lapse. You gotta get documents in, you gotta pull credit, you gotta do things like that. So I always tell people to get it pre-approved as soon as you're even considering, because the other thing is credit reports. 70% of credit reports out there have something wrong on them. And you might go, well, I paid that off, or that's not me, or what do you mean? My name's James Johnson. How can I have the other 20,000 James Johnsons, you know, in southern Minnesota all reporting my credit report, you know? So we want to get looking at your stuff as soon as possible, because that way we can come up with a plan. And the other thing is, I've always thought, it's not really fair to the realtors either, because you go over there and say, hey, let's go look at these $300,000 houses, and all of a sudden, because of student loans or these other things that you don't think maybe are a big deal, unfortunately, they can be a big deal. And so we have to find the right program for you and make sure you're ready to go. So when you want to pull that trigger, you can actually, at least the gun's loaded, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, you can get ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah, it's fun finding somebody a $300,000 house and you find out they're approved for $250.
Mm-hmm.
That's tough.
Well, if I might digress a little bit, one of my favorite stories that we've done business over all these years is the lady who had won the Publishers Clearinghouse.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. She had said that she had gotten in the mail that she was going to win the Publishers Clearinghouse, and so she wanted to go look, I think, at $400,000 house.
Yeah, let's start looking. So.
Yeah, and you know. And
way to verify income.
Yeah, exactly. So unfortunately, she was one of the other 10,000 people who were the finalists and wasn't actually there. But there's a lot of people who think, you know, hey, I can afford this. Let's find out. Let's make sure everything's smooth so we can get you the best rate and the best program for you.
All right, good stuff and a great story there. We'll take a break, back with more shortly on Get Real with Real Estate, hosted by Jameson Melbye, yours truly, Jack Colwell. Back in a moment here on KWNG 106.
Sounds good. How much time are we into the show right now?
About 6 minutes.
6 minutes. Okay,
Yep.
so we have about 4 minutes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
You lead whatever you are.
So Jameson, I mean, you could come back, or I'll come back and intro you for part 2 here.
Yep.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Here we go. All right. We are back now. It's segment 2 of Get Real with Real Estate here on this Memorial Day weekend. I'm Jack Colwell, Jameson Melbye, our show host, along with yours truly. Let's resume part 2, and a lot of great stuff. A lot of ground has been covered, Jameson, already. What else do you have for us?
So one question we get a lot is, what is PMI? And that stands for Private Mortgage Insurance, but what is it? And at what point, how can I remove it from my payment, and how do you do that?
Well, there's 2 different types of mortgage insurance. PMI is for conventional mortgage insurance.
Gotcha.
FHA is just mortgage insurance, or it just has mortgage insurance.
Yep.
Basically, what it is back in the day, you put 20% down on a mortgage. The government and other entities wanted to open that up since housing prices started going up. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I hate PMI, or I hate MI. Well, it's a necessary evil because it lets you get into a house with lower down payment. And basically, the numbers they've ran have said that there's a likelihood, a better chance of foreclosure or going back to the bank with the less money you put down.
Yep.
That's why a lot during the crisis, you know, people were putting down 0 down or actually doing 125% loan to value, where they were actually getting money to buy a house, and you had tremendous foreclosure rates. But to the main point of the question of the mortgage insurance is, once you so for FHA at this time, depending on the program, the year amortization you use, how long your loan is, 15 or 30 years, FHA, you do not get rid of mortgage insurance. It used to be once you got to 78%, you could get rid of it. But if you have a 30-year loan with FHA right now, they changed that program where you have it basically the whole time. And obviously it depends on different situations.
And conventional, you could still...
Conventional is great because you can get rid of it once you have 80% loan to value. So LTV is loan to value, how much you owe on the house compared to how much the house is worth. And so once you say you have a $100,000 house, once your loan is down to $80,000, that's when you can talk to your lender about getting rid of mortgage insurance. Also, say the house appreciated. So around here, you know, houses have been going up in value and things like that. So say you've been in your house 3 years and it's gone from $100,000 to $120,000. Well, then you have to be at 80% of that $120,000 and meet some other conditions. But it's nice to get rid of because, you know, it's that extra monthly payment that you don't want to have to make if you don't have to.
Right. I would say anybody that bought a house between 2010 and 2015 should be calling to refi, you know, or check into it at least and see, because the house is appreciated.
Exactly. I
A
mean,
lot since then.
a lot. And that's where a lot of people were upside down. They wanted to be able to refinance or things like that. But then when the housing market crashed, everybody was upside down, which meant they owed more than the house was worth. But we're getting back to that point now with people paying down their mortgage and with natural appreciation that, you know, it makes a lot of sense to check on if you can get rid of mortgage insurance.
Yeah, definitely. Our next question kind of goes in line with what Perry just asked on Facebook there. But if I have poor credit, what can I do to get my score up?
You know, one of the biggest things is to make sure, first of all, everything on there is correct. And that's why I say, like, you know, people are like, oh, I'm going to go start looking at houses. Let's look at it and see, because you might have a collection on there that, you know, you paid off. But when they get sold 3 or 4 times, you know, who actually updates it? Well, not a lot of places. So that's why we want to sit down, go through everything and say, hey, what's on here that's not correct? Get that cleared up, and that can take time.
Right.
That can take 90 days. So that's why one of the big things is we say get going as soon as possible, because you might have all the paperwork, but we got to send it into the credit bureaus, and we got to get responses and all this stuff.
Well, that's it. The last thing you want to do is find that dream house that you want to make an offer on and then get pre-approved, and now we find out you have to correct that credit report.
Yep.
Bad deal.
Yep. And you know, you might still qualify for the loan, but interest rates are based on risk. So the riskier you are, the higher your interest rate is. So if you want a lower interest rate, you want to have all your ducks in a row.
Right.
To build credit, you want to have we always like to see at least 3 different things reporting to your credit report. So a lot of people's like, oh, well, I pay my rent on time and my car insurance. There are programs that take that into account, but basically we want to see whatever's on your credit report and, you know, and reporting.
So like a car loan, credit cards.
Car loan, credit cards,
Student loans.
target loans. 3 different things that are reporting to your credit bureau is kind of the ultimate minimum is how we look at it. And there are some, you know, if you got a super great credit score, there are ways where, you know, if you only have 1 or 2 trade lines going, which is what those are called, we can do. But to build up your credit score is just basically make your payments on time.
Yeah.
That is the biggest thing. And if a lot of people have 20 credit cards and they're all 0 balances, and they start closing them down, do not do that until you talk to your lender, because one of the things they go off of is how long you've had credit. So I've had people who close down a bunch of their credit cards and their score goes down because all of a sudden they've only had credit for 3 years, you know, of
Versus
use.
these 10-year cards.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So, but the best way to do it is figure out what is my debt, what is my income, and try to stay under the ratios for the program, and rebuild your credit if you have poor credit history.
Yep, definitely. Are we at time?
No, we can still keep going here.
Okay.
You can continue on if you'd like, Jameson, then I'll finish up with one more question.
Cool, sounds good. So I guess one thing, you know, that we're in a seller's market right now, so
Oh, big time.
are there any tips to make sure that we get our offers accepted in the seller's market?
You know, one of the biggest things I say is make sure your pre-approval is bulletproof.
Yep.
You know, make sure if your lender said, hey, you need to have this money in the account, or, well, I'm going to get this to you, have everything done, because you want to make sure that, I mean, with the new laws that came into place with closing times and 3 days and such as that, you need to make sure, because if you need to do your offer might be better if it closes in 30 days as opposed to if you have we need 45 days because we're still working on your stuff getting cleared up.
Right.
So anything that can make your offer stronger, which is being pre-approved, making sure you actually have all your ducks in a row. If you say you're getting a gift of $5,000 from mom and dad, make sure that you're actually getting that and it's already deposited, because there are hoops to jump through for everything. So make your pre-approval as bulletproof as possible, and you know, they say if someone gets two offers, a USDA one and a conventional one, well, a lot of people know rural development's a little bit trickier on things. So if you got to take that in consideration too. If this is really the house you love, it might be worth putting the 3 to 5% down, because it's going to be, for lack of a better, well, it might be a smoother process, and the accepting realtor, the seller, isn't afraid, oh, VA, well, I'm going to have to fix everything in the house and make it perfect, you know.
Well, that's it. You know, when we get multiple offers on a listing, you know, let's say we have 5 offers, we're looking at the best terms, the most money down, the most earnest money. So the better you can make your case to the seller, this is why you should take my offer. They're going to go with the one with the least amount of hassle. Sometimes even if that nets them less money.
Yeah, because they might lose money for, say all of a sudden it's 45 days later and it keeps getting pushed out because it's a rural development loan, which, like I said, rural development serves a purpose as well. They're losing the money because they have to put it back on the market. They just lost everybody who could have bought in that last 45 days because they've got to buy out other houses. So just want to make sure you're ready to go. And the other thing is, you know, people, time is of the essence, because there are, I think they said 45 in a house purchase. There are 45 different hands that touch that. Everything from your appraiser to your title company to the inspector to the realtor to me. You know,
the underwriters.
Yeah, exactly.
Just crazy.
Your homeowner's insurance. I mean, all these different things. So if you give something to Jameson, and then Jameson gives it to me, and then I have to give it to da. I mean, also there's 5 days gone. So you want to be. If they say, hey, we need something, just I don't want to say just get it, but just get it. You know what I mean? Because you might not understand, but my job is to guide you and teach you through it, and that's what Jameson's going to do as well. The other thing I always say is, if you have a lender, call the lender. Because Jameson, he kind of stands out because he knows a lot about this stuff, but he's a professional at the realty part of it. Right. I'm a professional. I'll answer the questions for you as good as possible on the lending part. So contact your lender. Obviously he's going to know things too, but he's probably going to also say, hey, ask your loan officer. Yeah,
I mean, I can answer most of the questions with some of those more detailed. I'm like, we need to go to the professional that specializes in this.
But if they say I say I need 30 days to close the loan, and you write on the purchase agreement, hey, we want to close 30 days from now. Well, then it's got to go to the seller, and then the seller's got to sign their stuff and back. And also, it's 5 days later.
Inspections, and now you have 2 weeks to close.
Yeah, now it's 2 weeks to closing, and you're like, okay, what? So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a tough spot. Okay, the last question here that I have for Sean is, you just started with Prime Mortgage, so I'm wondering what sets them apart as a lender?
I've been doing this for, like I said, since 2003, and I did a lot of looking around before I made this move. Prime it's got great programs, a variety of programs. I mean, we have 14 different renovation programs. Wow. And for a lot of people, there's certain companies, especially in town, bigger banks, that don't even do renovation anymore. Another one just totally got out of it. And they're a lot of work, but if you find a $100,000 house, if that's your budget, and you find they can get it for $80,000, but it needs fixing up or it needs things like that, a renovation loan might be a good way to go. Plus, I mean, no matter what company you use, make sure it's someone who knows what they're doing. Yeah. I mean, a lot of the people got out of the business because it was just, you can fog a mirror, all right, sign here. But what makes us different is that our underwriters are right. I mean, my processor is someone who looks at the loan, is an office away from me. Our closing department is an office away from me. Nice. It's not in Des Moines, Iowa, or other places, which is nice because then I can just walk it over instead of having to go through 15 layers of stuff. So I'm very good at what I do. I've been doing it a long time. I love doing it, and my customers tell me, hey, they send me their friends and their family and the people they trust, and I try to send them to Jameson because that's who I trust. And when your realtor says, hey, talk to my person, there's a reason. It's because they know what they can do and what's going to help you. I guess for me, Prime Lending is just the perfect fit because it gives me the opportunity to work anywhere in the country, but I'm focusing between Red Wing and kind of the Dakota County up to probably about Bloomington area.
Yeah, okay,
So-
well, that's good radio, so if you can hear this on the radio, I just wanna reiterate that Jameson Melbye with Remax Results and Sean Waite with Prime Lending can definitely help you out.
Definitely. You can reach me at 612-850-2279, or there'll be a link, I'm sure, in the show notes for this on Facebook.
Yeah, sounds good, and then as always, you can find me on the web at jamesonmelbye.com, Facebook, if you look me up, Remax Results, Jameson Melbye Real Estate, and my cell phone number 651-764-8933.
All right,
Nice.
sounds great, guys. Have a great weekend.
All right,
Nice
thank
one
you,
to you,
sir.
Jack.
Have a good
Thanks.
Memorial Day.
All right, that's it. That'll do it for this special edition of